All right, so what is going on, everybody? I am doing this 53-man roster breakdown as a live stream instead of a regular video because in an hour and a half I have a live fantasy draft on location, so I'm going to downtown Orlando for that, and it's just mainly time sensitive. And then after that, I'm probably going to be getting drunk, so keeping it real with you guys. So I'm going to do this as a live stream. I'm going to try to keep it to about 30 minutes, and we're going to get into it. So shout out to everyone in the live chat right now. We've got Mitch DeGot Trubisky, Alex Beach, your boy, '09, Ruben Roberts, Tyrone Dixon, C Breacher, what's up, man? What's up, Goat? C Skidsy in the building, Slice YT. We got Ian, what's going on, man? All right, so let's go ahead and get right into this, man. The first wave of cuts, we'll go ahead and go over the quarterback. Now, only two quarterbacks made the roster, and that is Nick Foles and Gardner Minshew. Now, Gardner Minshew, I'm not really going to go over Nick Foles. Obviously, he's our guy. But Gardner Minshew did not have a very good preseason at all. He played every single game. He didn't account for a single touchdown. We actually only scored 3 total touchdowns in the preseason. Easily the worst preseason I've ever seen from the Jaguars. Primarily because we played a bunch of backups, so I'm not going to be getting too much into getting all mad about how bad we were during the preseason, but it was really hard to watch. And I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't even watch the last game. Preseason is a horrible product, especially the way it was now. And it sucks that, like, literally with Gardner Minshew, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable with him starting any games. He just did not show a lot. And I don't know. I would have rather keep Alex Magoo just because I think you can get certain packages for him, like, try to do a lot of short stuff, run a lot of RPO with him, because we all know that John DeFilippo knows how to run a RPO type of system, and I don't know. I feel very nervous that the fact that Nick Foles has never played a whole 16 game schedule, and that Gardner Minshew is going to be his backup. Because in a pinch, it might come down to one game in the AFC South, because it's a pretty decent division, even though Andrew Luck is out of it, and it's really tough. So Gardner Minshew makes the roster. Alex Magoo is definitely going to be a practice squad candidate, pending that he doesn't get picked up by another team, which I don't really see happening. I'll just say that I would have rather kept Magoo than Gardner Minshew. So next up is the running back position. We only kept 3 running backs. We kept Leonard Fournette, Reichwell Armstead, and Alfred Blue, which kind of shows how bad the running backs have been in the preseason. Some guys that we cut included Elijah Hood, Devontae Mays, and most notably Thomas Rawls. And the fact that we're keeping 3 is really interesting, just given Leonard Fournette's health. Also, Reichwell Armstead is a guy that hasn't really been able to stay the healthiest in college. He's a similar style to Leonard Fournette. And Alfred Blue's already hurt right now. So I would think that this is going to be a position that we kind of look to grab in free and off the waiver wire that's cut from another team. Maybe we're going to be, trying to pluck one of those guys from there. So yeah, we keep 3 guys. I would mainly feel comfortable with 4. But we'll continue to see what's going on with that. We got Ansi from Finland watching. What's going on? So next up, we'll go to the wide receivers. Now, wide receivers, we kept 6 guys, including D.D. Westbrook, Marquise Lee, Chris Conley, DJ Chark Jr., Keelan Cole, and C.J. Board. Reading this is the first time I even know that DJ Chark was a junior, but anyways, not to get off track. The main thing with this, the top 5 guys aren't really surprising, but the 6th guy with CJ Board is a little bit interesting because obviously Trey McBride seemed to have had the most impressive preseason probably. I mean, he put up the most numbers. We'll go over some guys that we cut: Tyree Brady, Quadri Henderson, Trey McBride, Michael Walker, and then Terrell Pryor. And I wasn't really all that surprised by the Terrell Pryor cut because, look, man, if you're the 6th wide receiver on a team, you're going to have to contribute to special teams. And Terrell Pryor doesn't really give you anything in special teams. And I believe he got waived on the IR, so I think he's on the IR, so we might be able to, have him go through training camp for us next year. Terrell Pryor made the team, he's on IR. If you're on you don't technically make the team if you're on IR. You just get put on the IR. So, he's on the IR. But CJ Board makes it over a guy like Trey McBride, and we'll see with this position. I mean, CJ Board is an undrafted free agent, and he showed a little bit of stuff. I'll be honest with you, I watched the first and second game twice. I watched the third game once, and I didn't watch the fourth game, so I don't have too much of the evaluation on him. But I would expect him to probably to be a gunner on special teams, and yeah, Calais Campbell is on the roster. All right, so tight end, we've got Jeff Swaim, Josh Oliver, James O'Shaughnessy, and Ben Koyak. Now, these guys aren't really surprised. The main thing you wondered was whether Jags were going to keep 3 tight ends or 4 tight ends. The Jaguars kept 4 tight ends, and this is an increase from last year where they kept 3. And a big reason for that is we no longer have a fullback on the roster. And really, the tight ends have been playing a lot of the fullback spot. I've been seeing a lot of really Jeff Swaim back there. So, that's with that. And hopefully Josh Oliver, I mean, it's a good thing that he's not on the PUP, which is the same thing Jake Ryan is on right now, which is a 6-week thing. So hopefully he can come back in a few weeks. So of course he's got the hamstring thing, so like we can't rush that with him. But I mean, hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. So yeah, 4 tight ends make it. Definitely an underwhelming group. I mean, we've been seeing years of Ben Koyak since like 2015. James O'Shaughnessy has turned into a pretty nice player. Then we haven't really seen much from like Jeff Swaim. So yeah, four guys. Now the offensive line, we kept 9 offensive linemen, including your starting 5 with Cam Robinson, Andrew Norwell, Brandon Linder, AJ Cann, Jawan Taylor, Will Richardson, Cedric Ogbuehi, Tyler Shatley, and Brandon Thomas. I don't think they made a decision on who's going to start, whether it be AJ Cann or Will Richardson, but I think that Will Richardson is probably the favorite to land that spot. And some of the backups, we've seen a lot of Tyler Shatley, and some of the guys that also got cut included Bunchy Stallings, CJ McDermott, Leonard Wester. I think got put on the IR or the injured list. So then there's also Josh Wells. Josh Wells is a familiar name. He's been around a lot, but he's also dealt with his injuries and some like inconsistencies. So, yeah, we'll see with those guys. And I think our offensive line is going to have some pretty solid depth. At the interior, I think Tyler Shatley is always a good interior lineman. Cedric Ogbuehi has a lot of starting experience, and then AJ Cann is probably going to provide some good backups. But hopefully we don't dig into our depths like we did in 2018, where we were just historically injured at the offensive line, and hopefully we don't dig that deep. And then next up, we'll go to the opposite side of the ball. We got 4 edge rushers on the team with Josh Allen, Yannick Ngakoue, Lorente McCray, Dewan Smoot. None of these are really necessarily big surprises, except Big Cat Country doesn't list Calais Campbell as a defensive end. You wonder if... Oh my god, my brother's got the freaking vacuum going. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. But hopefully the defensive end spot... Yeah, I mean, Lorente McCray, he's a special teamser, so that doesn't really... And he's actually pretty solid when he actually does go in there and play. Dewan Smoot, he kind of put on toward the end of the preseason, and he's a 3rd-round pick, so hopefully he kind of continues to show out. And Josh Allen and Yannick Ngakoue, as we kind of almost transition to a 3-4 defense, you can kind of tell that they're probably going to try to get them on the field a lot together, maybe slide Calais Campbell inside a little bit. So some more guys on the defensive line. We got Calais Campbell, Marcel Darius, Avery Jones, Taven Bryan, Eli Anku, Dontavius Russell. So really with this, some of the guys that we cut included Dayton Jones, which is a big surprise. Dayton Jones is really good in the preseason. He showed a lot. So, I mean, that's probably the biggest argument I have is really, cutting him. Some more guys you cut were Michael Hughes, Lyndon Johnson, and Andrew Williams. So, really, Um, with this, Dontavius Russell makes a team. He was a guy that we got in the 7th round of last year's draft. He didn't pop up the screen a lot to me, but really with these defensive tackles, like Marcel Darius is a really good player for us. Avery Jones is really good for us, but they kind of play the positions that don't pop off the screen for you. Taven Bryan makes a team, and Taven Bryan has just been absolutely awful in the preseason. I've never seen a guy just. It just seems like his football IQ is non-existent. I mean, he's got good physical tools, but it's like he goes out there and the snap happens and he doesn't know what to do. I mean, he looks clueless. He gets, pinballed from offensive guard to offensive guard. He's just not good, man. And they'll give him another year. I mean, he's got the 1st round pick. But the thing is, if Taven Bryan was like a 6th round pick, I think he's got enough entry to make the roster. But I mean, he's got to. I don't think he'll ever be great. I mean, sometimes you either have it or you don't have it, and Taven Bryan, just his mental processing sucks. And I was really hoping for more after the whole offseason, and he was one of the few guys that made the roster that actually played in the 4th preseason game, and it's not looking good so far. So if he continues at this pace that he's at, he won't be on a roster in 2020, and it'll go down as one of the biggest busts in Jaguars history. Now, one thing about this that's a lot different than last year's thing is that let's see. Sorry, I got distracted. What was I about to say? All right, whatever. I'll move on. But yeah, Taven Bryan. Oh yeah, one big difference with Taven Bryan that's a lot different from our last 10 years of 1st round draft picks is that Taven Bryan was not drafted in the top 10 of the draft. He was drafted at number 29 overall. So you got to kind of keep that into perspective. But yeah, and shout out to Solly Markham for the $5 donation. No AJ Boye leaving talk, LOL. Yeah, I did mention that in my video yesterday. Like, I gave a list of guys that I would, because if you guys haven't watched my Miles Jack video, toward the end of the video, because I know I was going to get a lot of questions on it, was whether, we'll be able to sign Jalen Ramsey and Yannick Ngakoue. And I kind of said that I could see them that we're going to have to make some roster cuts in order to keep those guys. And, some guys I would probably cut included like Brandon Linder, included the offensive guard, what's his name? Andrew Norwell, Marquise Lee, Marcel Darius, and I kind of hinted that maybe AJ Boye. I mean, I love AJ Boye, but I would rather keep Yannick Ngakoue and Jalen Ramsey as opposed to AJ Boye. But AJ Boye is kind of a last resort in that case, and you never know. Like, are you going to be able to afford to keep 2 expensive free agent? Too expensive cornerbacks, you never know. But I mean, I'm as big as an AJ Boye fan as the other guys, just because he's a UCF guy, and as you guys all know, if a guy went to your alma mater, you got a little bit more love for him than a lot of guys. But I mean, we'll see with AJ Boye. I'd love to find a way to keep him on the roster, just because he's a very good player. Obviously, he's a former Pro Bowler for the Jags, and he's a pretty underrated player because he gets kind of overshadowed by Jalen Ramsey in a lot of cases, just like how Aaron Coleman was a good player, but he kind of got overshadowed by the other guys on the team. But yeah, we'll move on. We're at the defensive line, so we'll move on next to the linebacker spot. We kept 6 linebackers with Miles Jack, who just got a contract extension, Quincy Williams, Leon Jacobs, Najee Good, Joe Giles Harris, and DJ Alexander. And what's it called? The one guy that's going to kind of stay on the, hidden on the roster is Telvin Smith. We do have control over him. He might try to come back in 2020, but I don't see that we're going to be keeping him, just with, Miles Jack being under an expensive contract. We also have, we drafted Quincy Williams, and also, there's no room for him. There's no room for another expensive guy, and the fact that I think they feel like they probably betrayed him a little. They betrayed the Jaguars a little bit, because he was having no communication with the Jaguars. The only way they found out about him sitting out was through his like Instagram page. So I feel like they probably feel a little bit. I feel like they probably feel a little bit betrayed by that. But a lot of these guys, Leon Jacobs will be the starting strong side linebacker. We have the Jake Ryan, who's going to start the season on a pup, so he's been freaking injured for like a year and a half. We'll see what he has to offer. And some guys on backup: Najee Good, Joe Giles Harris, DJ Alexander. We might try to pluck some linebackers off of some other teams, off the waivers. I would probably almost expect that. But, for now we have 6 linebackers. A lot of these guys are going to be contributing to, to depth. But I did forget to mention the guy who gave me $5, Solly. I forgot to say thank you. I went straight to your question, but thank you for the donation. So, yeah, with linebackers, some of the guys that we cut included Connor Strachan or Ramik Wilson. So not too many, big-time names there. But, we'll move on to the next position, the cornerback position. We got 5 cornerbacks that made the roster, including Jalen Ramsey, AJ Boye, DJ Hayden, Trey Herndon, and Breon Borders. So some guys that we cut included Tay Hayes, Quentin Meeks, Brandon Watson, Picasso Nelson, and Savion Smith. And really, some of our cornerbacks showed out, especially Tay Hayes. Tay Hayes had a really good preseason, so I would expect him to get plucked by another team. Quentin Meeks kind of fell off a little bit. He was really good last year and stuff throughout the training camp. And he was a second-year guy out of Stanford, but he just did not look very good this year. So he's off. And then some of the guys that made it, Breon Borders was a surprise. He was an undrafted free agency guy. So he makes a roster, which is pretty interesting. And then I'm sure the way it will work is Breon Borders will be the backup nickel, and then Trey Herndon will be the backup, outside guy. So, obviously the 3 starters we feel really comfortable about with Jalen Ramsey, AJ Boye, and DJ Hayden. And then we got a couple other guys kind of sprinkled in there. And then the final position group is the safety spot. We have 5 different safeties making the roster, which is pretty crazy. We had Jared Wilson, who's going to be our starting free safety. Ronnie Harrison is going to be the starting strong side linebacker, or strong safety. Cody Davis, who's big on depth. Andrew Wingard and Josh Robinson. And the big thing about this isn't necessarily who made the team, but it was who missed it, which was CJ Rivas. CJ Rivas had one really good game, but he kind of fell off after that. He didn't really do very well. So him missing it was kind of surprising, but I think a lot of this was mainly for special teams. The main guy was Andrew Wingard, who didn't really pop off a whole lot. But Andrew Wingard is kind of on the roster, so we'll see about all that. Now, final spot is the special teams. Won't go over this too much, but Josh Lambo will be the place kicker, obviously. Logan Cook will be our punter. Matt Overton will be our long snapper. So that kind of concludes all of that. I'll stay on here for about 5 more minutes, maybe answer some questions in a live chat. And yeah, thank you guys all so much for coming through. David O'Brien says AJ's got 2 years left on the roster. On his contract. Yeah, I don't know about his contract situation. I do know that he's a big cap hit next season. So Connor Skidgy says, my bet is that if Foles gets hurt, we will probably bring in a quarterback from free agency and keep Minshew as a backup. Yeah, I would think that we had to make some kind of move to get another quarterback if that case does come, because I just don't feel comfortable with Minshew in there. I would feel more comfortable with like a Matt Castle or even like a Brock Osweiler, like one of these guys. It's not. Even just the other day, I think the Chiefs just signed Matt Moore. I'd feel more comfortable with Matt Moore in there. It's just kind of a crap situation. The RNM says, what are your thoughts on Minshew? Should we go out and pick up a veteran backup? I don't know if we should pick up a veteran backup now, but the time does come, man. Like, I would, if we have to rely on a guy to play for 2-3 games, I would, given our situation, if we're not 4-10, I think we'd have to go out there and get another guy. I would have kept Magoo and tried to find some like RPO type of packages for him. That's what I would have done. Jace Harden says, what's up, UCF? What's up, man? Texans, I've been making some moves, man. Texans, I feel like they just turned over 10% of the roster with Davion Clowney going, Carlos Hyde coming in. They got Laramie Tunsil coming in, trading away for some draft picks. It's crazy. Yeah, Ski Skid says, don't forget to drop a like on the video. Yeah, man, if you guys enjoyed it, please drop a like for me. I'd really appreciate that. Central Coast Climber says, with the cuts, what position do you think is currently the weakest? The weakest right now, I would probably have to say the wide receiver spot is pretty weak just because we have a lot of unproven. You know, Chris Conley has been in the NFL for 4 years, hasn't really done anything. DJ Chark has been super underwhelming in the time that he's been there. We have CJ Board, who kind of made it due to lack of, depth there. I think linebacker, past Miles Jack and Quincy Williams, it's very low depth. I think we're very strong at cornerback and defensive line. I think even our safety spot is pretty good. So, that's what I got to say. Cinder's Close Climber, are you going to be safe with that hurricane coming in? Hopefully, man. Hopefully I will be. Hopefully it doesn't mess us up too bad. It's supposed to hit like Tuesday, so good thing is work got canceled Tuesday, so I guess that's good. Get paid for not going to work. That's always fun. James Harden says, I think Conley and Westbrook are good compliments to a one, but not ones themselves. Yeah, I think Westbrook is a true number 2, but I think he's gonna get a lot of. Hey guys, I would recommend you guys drafting D.D. Westbrook in a PPR because he's gonna be targeted a lot this year, and he's being way undervalued in leagues right now. So that's my fantasy advice for you guys. Jonathan says, should we get T.J. Ward and maybe 2 linebackers who got released? I don't think we should get T.J. Ward. I think T.J. Ward, I said it at a time, T.J. Ward was brought in as a guy that, potentially if the time comes, if we get an injury there, we know what kind of shape he is. We know where he's at mentally, and, maybe he could be a guy that we bring in, if we're, 6-2 midway through the year and Ronnie Harrison gets hurt or something like that. But Slice YT, I'll catch you later, man. Thanks for coming in and joining. CJ, what do you think about the depth at the safety position? I like the depth. It's not too bad. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Cody Davis is nice special teams. Other than that, Andrew Wingard, honestly, Wingard and Josh Robinson, I don't know much about. So we'll kind of see with that. But, all right, guys, I'm probably just going to go ahead and end it. I'll give some last-minute shout-outs. Shout out to Slice YT. Shout out to CJ, David Bryan, ML Striker, Adrian, Brian Cummings, Tyrone Dixon, Jonathan Burns, Busted Buns. Hey guys, Jamie Hedgehog. A week from today is the first game. Very, very excited. Jason Martineau, thanks for joining, man. Jamie Hedgehog, do not spam. Do not spam. If I see spam anymore, I'm going to have to hide you from the channel. I'm sorry. But yeah, the Rim says go Jumbo Shrimp. Yeah, man. What's up, Clint Taylor? What's going on, man? What's up, name? But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming in here. So excited for Jaguar season to take off. We've endured a horrible preseason schedule. It was just horrible. But now we get into the thick of it, man. Chiefs, one more week. C-Skid, are you streaming the first game? I'm going to be at the first game, so I will not be streaming the Chiefs game. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.